After that deep conversation, we have two very sparkly young ladies who live very close to Bollywood. They have both written a new book recently and are very interesting human beings themselves. Please welcome Shaheen Bhatt, the author of I've Never Been Unhappier, and the woman behind The 12 Commandments of Being a Woman, Tahira Kashyap. edX's chief reporter Daniel Thimaya will chair the session.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome once again. Thank you for joining us here with the New Indian Express. We're super delighted to take this journey with you, with all of us during these very, very difficult times as we discover the literature that is way beyond the lockdown, the literature that governs our lives, and the stuff that makes us just a little bit more happy. And today, to take that conversation and that journey forward, we're super thrilled to have two women with us who, correct me if my math is wrong, have a combined Instagram following of something that is north of 675,000. I know, I heard somebody snigger there, but I think my maths is spot on. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have with us Tahira Kashyap Khurana, who of course is out and bodaciously pushing this absolutely brilliant corker of a book that she's got out recently, The 12 Commandments of Being a Woman. There's so much of it that's autobiographical. There's so much of it that's so in your face that I had a blast of a time reading it. I know my wife enjoyed it tremendously, and she said she's so looking forward to reading what you've got next. So thank you so much for being with us, Tahira. We also have with us Shaheen Bhatt, whose 2019 bestseller was everybody's ready reckoner to what mental illness is about and why there's so much more that all of us can look forward to, and why the conversation has to begin when you're not feeling as good as you should be. Thank you so much for being with us, Shaheen. Let me start right away and dive straight into this by asking both of you. Tahira first, perhaps. Your book is intensely personal. It's like I said, it's autobiographical beyond a point. In a certain sense, it's your journey, which is encapsulated in these 12 brilliant commandments that you have for every young Indian girl, perhaps, who grows into a woman. Was it difficult getting that up close and personal and putting your version of life out there?
No, yeah, I'm very unfiltered as a person. I think it was more of a task keeping myself zipped up on many other issues. I've already landed myself in trouble with my family members. So, actually, no. So it was absolutely fine, and it was not very tough. That's how I am as a person. That's how I am if you meet me. And wasn't that tough.
Shaheen, what about you? I mean, for you, it was obviously a 13 going on 30 kind of journey, where you got up close and personal with your whole struggle with mental health and how you coped with it, panic attacks, several bouts of depression and all of that. Very compelling accounts that you've written. Was it difficult to get that close and that open about your feelings?
So it wasn't difficult to actually be open about it. Like, I think exactly like Ira said, I'm also fairly used to being quite transparent in a sense with what I'm going through. It's not something that I'd ever really talked about openly, but I wasn't hiding it. It's just I hadn't really come out on a public platform and talked about it, but it wasn't something that I was hiding. What was hard definitely was the process of actually writing it, because the process of writing it meant I was going back to some really really dark places that I didn't want to go back to necessarily. It's the kind of thing that you do your best once you're out of like a dark hole. You do your best to never go back there again, and I had to kind of forcibly go back to those places, and I had to then also forcibly find insight in that. Eventually, I think when I came out of it, when I finished writing it, I think it did me a lot of good, but the actual process of writing it was quite heavy.
No, I agree with her. I agree with Shaheen. Like, once you go back, the place and the time and the space that you were in my book, in my case, it was 13 and 20, and I did also have an episode with mental health, well-being, and why I don't call it depression is because I was silly enough not to go to a doctor who would have probably subscribed me or prescribed me
As people
something.
say, take it as seriously as that, yeah.
Exactly. So I did not, so which is why, but I know I used to get anxiety attacks, and I know that I had panic attacks, and I know it was depression. But we have all have a different ways of fighting it. But yeah, but going back, even if as a 13-year-old, like one of my chapters, this is the first chapter, it's about me as a 13-year-old feeling I was the last in a batch of 80 kids to get my periods, and I was really 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 stressed about it. And I was really I actually thought that I'm never going to be wearing a bra. Like, when is it that I'm going to bloom in life? So that was but it was very intense. So right now it's funny if you go back, because obviously it will happen. But if you just go back to being the 13-year-old, the situation was very intense for a kid, you know. So going back to your, yeah, 13 and the 20 and the whatever challenges you have faced, in retrospect, I feel, you know, that I am a goofball. And when tragedy meets goofball, in retrospect it becomes humorous. And that's with all of us, you know. In retrospect, it is funny and witty, and you can make a light of the situation. But when you're there and then, it's very very intense. So yeah.
You know, when you're talking about, you of course use the word goofball, but today we see pretty much everywhere, everybody has this online persona, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Twitter. There's a certain pressure to keep up appearances, because everybody's watching, it's like Big Boss all over again. It's like, people are watching, people are judging. And, Tahira, like I said, you guys are huge on social media, and there's a whole subset of life that, or, a small portion of your lives that you live on social media. Does that sort of have any bearing on your writing process or on your state of mind in general?
For me, I think it's a very conscious decision to not let it overpower you. You are very right. There is so much which is happening on social media, and you put your best part of the day, you know, and that's how it is for everybody else. But you need to realize that everybody there is a human being who's bound to have a lot of failures, and not just failures, but also feeling of being defeated also. But not necessarily everyone takes up to social media to portray that. The social media is a general portrayal of the most successful beautiful day that you have had in your life. And so you need to consciously have some awareness about it, and sort of step aside. It can be overwhelming if you just get into that zone without any awareness. I think you just need to be aware that everybody is a human being, and everybody, and treat it the way, you need to understand the medium. It's not a, like, a lot of people use it for many causes. Like, I have used it for to spread awareness about early breast cancer detection. I'm sure Shaheen also must have taken to social media to spread some awareness. But a lot of other people, and there's nothing wrong in it, to each his own. They just want to share some good pictures of themselves, and that's fine too. But as a layman, you need to really understand that everybody is a human being and is bound to have good and bad days, and it just isn't good and hunky-dory for everyone who portrays the best picture. And there is hours and hours of makeup, and there's hours and hours of thinking about what content to put up. So all of that, it's a job for a whole lot of people. So you treat it as a medium, but don't be too serious about it. Don't take yourself too seriously on social media. Just be.
Shine, there was this very compelling, coming out post of yours in 2016 that I read back then, that I read in between, and that I read again today, and I thought it was startlingly honest, to be very very brutal about it, and I think that possibly must have been the seed that led to your book. How much did social media have an impact on your decision to be where you are today?
That post is where my book came from, 100%. It literally came from having one bad day, and in the midst of a bad day, having some social media anxiety and wondering what I should post because I hadn't posted in a while. And I realized everything that I was looking at to post was completely at odds with how I was actually feeling. I was looking for pictures of me, exactly like Tyra is saying, the best days of your life. I was looking for happy pictures. I was looking for um, stuff that would portray me as someone who had it all together, and I wasn't feeling like that. So I was like, why am I, I in that moment I just got very irritated with myself, and I was like, why you're contributing to this sort of culture of being disingenuous? So why not just post about how you're actually feeling and see what happens? And that's literally what I did, and that's why I'm sitting here and having this conversation with you today, is because that post basically snowballed into an article which snowballed into my publishers approaching me to write this book, which, and then, I realized from that post how many people were going through the stuff that they were going through. And it's the kind of thing, intellectually you always know that you're not alone. You can't possibly be on a planet of 7 billion people. You can't be the only one feeling the way you're feeling. But with mental illness and depression, that's its specialty. It does convince you that you are alone. So it isn't until you actually share then and you hear someone else come and tell you, oh crap, I've been through the same thing, that you realize, oh wait, I'm actually, on an emotional level, you realize that you're not alone. And so the outpouring of just, people sharing their stories with me was so huge. And I think that's, again, cognizantly, I've since then tried to use social media as a means of connection. What people don't realize is social media may feel like connection very often, but it's actually doing the complete opposite. You're not really connecting with people. You're just, what you're doing is you're posting a picture and going back to your picture to see who's liked it. You're not actually looking that hard at what somebody else is talking about or what somebody else is doing. It's very internal. So since then, I've tried my best to sort of use it as a means of connection. And it's where I get, a lot of, when I'm writing also, I if I have questions, I ask my social media followers. I will ask questions and see what they have to say, and it gives me a lot of sort of perspective, because a lot of people again are going through very similar things. So yeah, I think I try to use it to the best of my ability as a means of connection, and I steer very far away from it bringing me to a place where I feel like I'm not connecting.
But I have to ask, and I know that Tahira has, of course, faced her share of this. How badly does it affect you when, you really put something out there and people just sort of, troll it for no particular reason? Because I know you can't ever justify what a troll does or where they're coming from or why they do what they do. And, the going lingo is ignore, just smile and wave, boys, as the penguin said in Madagascar. But I'm sure that, as somebody who has as much emotion as you do, Shine, it's got to get to you somewhere, right? How deep does it cut?
I mean, honestly, to be very honest, the stuff that I have been trolled about on social media has been so horrible and so completely disconnected from me as a person that it's actually also quite easy to disconnect myself from what people are saying. Because, the worst of the social media trolling that I faced has been over the last couple of months, actually. And it's been a lot of, just a lot of chauvinistic and kind of very regressive things that people have said. So I've been quite fortunate in that whenever I have talked about mental health, I haven't really, I've been very lucky that people have responded to that quite sensitively. I haven't really seen too much. Of course, there are the odd comments here and there. And initially, I guess it used to just be like, but I wish I could get this person to see that that's not the case. But I think over time you realize that that's a them thing, not a me thing. So, and also the further away it gets from you as a person, the more you realize it's really not about you. And um, it also becomes about, if I don't take the trolling seriously, I also can't take the validation seriously, right? While it's wonderful to have people say nice things to you
Oh
on
yeah,
social
the
media,
two-way
you can't
street.
take that too. Yeah, you can't take that too seriously either, because at the end of the day, there's still people who don't know you. So it's a matter of sort of having that perspective and realizing it's really nice to have people say wonderful things, and it's great, but you can't take either of those things very seriously.
Tyra, you had your fair share of run-ins with trolls, and they seem to have a wonderful time picking on the smallest of things. Uh, how have you been? How your experience has been with trolls?
No, so social media has been fairly nice to me, but like just just like Shine said, and don't take it too seriously. Tables can turn any day. It's audiences and people are also very fickle, and they might just like one trait of your personality and might not just like the other. But does that mean I should tweak myself according to their likes and dislikes? So it's a question that we need to deal with. And yes, I have been trolled. While a lot of people, were sensitive towards everything else, there were some people who made comments on how I looked, whether I was bald or I had a short crop of hair. They called me and my husband bhai bhai, and I found that hilarious. So that's the only way to look at it. That's the only way to look at it. I think you can just have a blast and uh, don't take yourself too seriously. Don't take them too seriously on social media. It's not your life. It's social media. It's a platform.
It's a platform. Tahira, it's interesting that you brought that up because all through your book, I got the sense that, you sort of got this devil may care, attitude towards, how you take the large things and the small things. And, you sort of, and that sort of lends a lot of credence to why you do what you do. For example, one of the small things, and I really felt this was particularly compelling because this is something that people just don't talk about. There was a little portion where you talked about how you just won a huge competition back in school and you were so excited that after that you wet your pants. And, and that's, and to me that it just moved on to the next chapter because the next commandment came right after. And I was wondering, hey, wait, hold on, she just wet her pants. Why aren't we talking more about this? What I'm getting at is, Tahira, I mean, there are lots of these small anecdotes that that I think everybody in this country, whether they're men, they're women, whoever they are, they've sort of gone through. How did you manage to prune those instances and really bind them together into these 12 commandments?
Like I said, honestly speaking, I'm very unfiltered in my thinking also, and so it was a very collaborative process between my publisher Chicky and me. And she's like, I want you to write something. She saw some of my writings on Instagram or social media, and also few publications, and she was like, I really like your voice. I was like, that's the only way I write, and it's not going to be necessarily very good. It can just be anything. So she's like, just go for it. And so yeah, that's how I started writing. And after I wrote my first chapter, which is like I just discussed about being a 13-year-old, and she was in splits, and she's like, do you have any more such incidents? I was like, my life is full of such anecdotes. In fact, women as such, all of us have such amazing incidents to share about. And I just feel there's such little stories, whether it's films or books, that is portrayed or made on us and through our lens. If you just see, I'm a filmmaker too. So if you just see the statistics between the last 4 to 5 years, there have been only around 6 point some percentage of female directors. And
That's
so
right. That's right.
that's the portrayal of women, or even if they're female oriented scripts, there are hardly any. So either then they are tragic queens, or they are revolutionaries. So I feel we can be all of that, but there's so much in between, and we can be funny, and we can be crazy, and we can be witty too. We have peed our pants, yes, like you just mentioned. And I was 15 or 16 at that point of time. And and what led to that. I was devoid of being, I was not allowed to be on the stage, and which I loved doing. I loved to speak. I was a captain in my school, in my junior school, and suddenly in my senior school I've not been given an opportunity. And when I got that opportunity, and whatever happened, it led to that. It is a human emotion, it is a human instinct, and we need to celebrate that. And which is why the book, it's about celebrating being a woman, whether you're at the age of 15, 13, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. We have a lot of incidents to share, and yeah.
Ton of stories, wealth of experiences. Speaking about experiences, because Shaheen, one very intriguing thing about your book, and I think everybody who's read the book would probably have wondered why. There are these interludes that are almost entirely in italics, you know. And when you do get to read the book, I've Never Been Unhappier, you will realize that these are excerpts from your childhood journals, which talk about your actual bout of depression and the unfiltered language that you put down in those journals. Was that a conscious decision, Shahid?
The journals, yeah, it was a very conscious decision. Basically, what I realized also when I started to write this book is that I started journaling when I was 12. And around 12 was when I started experiencing depression for the first time. And so I realized when it came to write this book, I had books and books of material kind of ready and waiting. I had that stuff to go back to and draw from. And even while I was sort of going through those journals, some stuff that I had written when I was 13, I was going through when I was in my late 20s. It was actually quite striking to me how much similarity there still was in me as a 13-year-old and then me and as an adult. And what I also realized was that did
that scare you though? Did that scare you, or did that give you
hope?
Yeah.
No, it scared me. I was like, I need to be in some more intensive therapy and figure out why none my problems from 13 to 29 are the same. I need to figure that out. But at the end of the day, I think it was also like, in a way, it was also kind of heartening because it was like, okay, fine, at least my core has remained kind of unchangeably the same, which in a way is also it feels quite good. And what I realized also going through all those journals was I always tended to write when I was having bad days. So a lot of what I was going through in those journals was me smack dab in the middle of a depressive episode. And I figured rather than, writing about it in retrospect, sitting here and saying, this is how I used to feel when I was 13 and I was going through it, I may as well just show you what I was feeling because it's right there in my journal. So that's why I chose to actually have my journal entries in there because it was show rather than tell. And I feel like in a lot of ways, it's probably some of the most effective parts of the book for me, is because literally it's right there. It's taking you through exactly what goes through someone's head when they're in that negative loop and where their mind is at.
I think people would identify a lot more with it when they actually read it and sort of think, hey, that's me. And I think that's probably the biggest point of impact that you could hope for. But let's talk about something a little bit happier. Both Shaheen, your book, and Tahira, your book, they have intensely colorful and happy covers. In fact, I was just talking to Shaheen about this a little before you got here, Tahira. And I said, I've never been unhappier. There's a little bracket before the un, and it looks, there's a lot of color. And if you read the book, there's little, parts and pockets and characters and instances that are illustrated beautifully, and it's got this vibe. You, of course, Tahira, your book's cover looks like, Moses just got an upgrade. You're holding up the tablet, and, you're telling the world, hear ye, this is what you've got to learn, before you hit, before, after you hit puberty. What is the story behind those happy covers? I really want to know.
No, the idea was to just share something. And yeah, the colors, Shaheen, I would love to read your book. Yeah, now I am just so interested in it. While I have very strategically placed my book, she has been very modest and humble not to get that in the frame.
Smart, very smart.
Learn from you. So I'm super excited about the book. It's just launched, so you can see the excitement. And also the colors that I'm wearing pretty much matching my book. So you can see my excitement levels, and I'm just feeling so embarrassed right now. But I'm embarrassed only because she is being so humble and modest about it. So I'm like, oh God.
She's had a year
for it to wear off.
Yeah. So, also, it just didn't occur to me. And now, as soon as you said that, I was like, oh, that's such a smart idea. I do that. So,
you know what? You've got like a plain background as well. You could have gone like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, seriously, I could have just had like a pile of them.
So yeah, you can do that and post, it's all wide screen, so she can do it.
Yeah, but just imagine this one part where she goes all like that, and then she's smack bang in the middle of a book. Okay, no, but seriously, the story behind those really, really funky book covers. Tahira.
For me, yeah, it's just about vibrancy. I wanted my book to, it speaks about even the dark parts of my life, if at all. It's from a place of wit and humor, and which does not take away the seriousness of the issue, but also it's about how I'm expressing myself. So that's the tone of my book, the colors, and it's vibrant, and that's how I wanted it to be. So yeah, that's what it goes for me. How about you?
For me, honestly, it was the same thing. I was very adamant that I was going to have yellow in my book cover because strangely, yellow has become my favorite color. I always used to think black was my favorite color at one point, but then now yellow has become like my favorite color. So I was very, very adamant that I had yellow on the cover, and exactly for the same reason. My book it talks about a lot of very heavy things, but I don't think I would have gotten through any of those things if I did not have a sense of humor about that stuff. Like my sense of humor, I think, is a little, I have a more like dry sort of self-deprecating sort of way that I look at this, but it is the humor that has gotten me through, I think, the worst of it, that you have to be able to laugh at your worst days. And so I was like, yeah, I always knew I wasn't going to have a cover that felt gloomy in any way. And my book cover is just, like there's little bits and pieces of stuff that I feel like reflect like my life. So there's, there's cats on there, there's headphones because, music would get me through a lot of it. There's pizza because I would binge eat a lot of pizza. There's, there's all these little bits, tiny little things that I kind of only I really know, like what they mean, but there are all these little sort of bits and pieces of myself, I feel like, that are on the cover, which was very important to me.
Nice, that's really cool. Shaheen, of course, your entire journey, your whole bout with depression and the various aspects of it have been what you've sort of thrown the heart and soul of that into your book. Tahira, the end of your book sort of is where your journey with cancer and that whole battle and everything that took so much out of, and also I think gave you a little bit in life, is sort of encapsulated there. You've both had very contrasting hard points. How much of that has that influenced your journey as a person and your sort of mental space as a writer? Shaheen, you want to?
I think that for me, I feel like my journey actually began when the book ended, kind of, because like I said, that I went through so much of what I was going through between the ages of sort of 13 to 21 that I feel like I didn't really get to live out my adolescence in the way that I would have had this not been a constant sort of facet of my life. I feel like I'm going through a very delayed sort of adolescence now in my in my early 30s. I feel like I'm finally sort of getting a handle of who I am, and this is something I wasn't able to do when I was 16 because I was too busy trying to figure out the rest of it. I was too busy just trying to be okay. And so I feel like my journey actually really did begin when the book ended. And when I say the book ended, I mean literally the point at which narratively the book ended, and also when I finished writing that book, the place that it brought me to, the sort of place of acceptance and understanding that it brought me to, it sort of completely collided with me finishing that book. And I mean, it's kind of been a hard road since then, to be honest. There's been a lot of healing that I've had to do in the last couple of years, in the last 2 years, and it hasn't been all like hunky dory, but it just brought me to a place where I'm able to do all that work. Like, it's just brought me to a place where I've been able to actually sit down with all of that stuff and do it. So,
and like you said, you're obviously in a place where you're able to talk about it, which is a huge thing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. I feel like writing the book kind of, I forced myself out of hiding. So even though I was never hiding the fact that this is what I was going through, I think I was spending a lot of time and energy trying to put a mask on all the time and pretend that I was okay when I was not. And so what this has done for me is it's basically completely enabled me to go, no, man, I feel like shit, like very often. So when people ask me sometimes, how are you doing today? I can actually answer and say, I'm not feeling very good today. I don't bullshit and say, oh, it's great, I'm feeling great. I don't do that anymore. So, and it makes people uncomfortable very often. You're not used to somebody saying, oh, I'm not great when you ask them how they are. You're expecting like a regular, oh, I'm totally fine.
Oh, yeah, I'm totally fine. Like that,
Yeah, because you don't actually ask the question expecting to hear a real answer, right? You're asking the question as kind of like a perfunctory thing that you ask. So
yeah, for the sake of it,
yeah.
Totally.
So it's just enabled me to be a hell of a lot more honest with myself.
Well, that's not a good reason to write a book. I don't know what is. Tahira, Tahira, your bout with cancer and everything that you've learned and the journey that you've sort of had since, and what has it done for you as a writer?
Honestly speaking, it was a very conscious decision to not specifically write about cancer in this particular book.
Yeah.
It was just the last chapter, which is
Yeah,
absolutely
just that last little bit, yeah.
2 pages perhaps of the entire book.
Yeah.
So for me, it was basically it was just about experiencing being a woman, and it's a patriarchal setup that we are in, and how a 13-year-old responds to that situation, how a 20-year-old responds to that situation, how a 30-year-old responds to the situation. So it's not overtly I'm talking about having a sort of a mindset, but it's subliminal. Like I stay in a small, I come from now I'm in Bombay, but I come from a small place like in Chandigarh. I'm right here right now, and there is this chapter which it talks about the Gedi route culture. The Gedi route is basically boys just following girls on bikes and just going around in circles.
Right.
And as much as it's glorified in such Punjabi songs and a lot of films also, it is not something that all women feel happy about. I mean, if some people like it, then awesome. That's great. Follow them, but not everybody wants to be followed back home. You know, it's harassment. It leads. It's very very. It's scary. And so that's what the book is about, the idiosyncrasies or the feelings of just being a woman in a setup. So it consciously was not about cancer. But having said that, I have spared no medium to share the message about early breast cancer detection and awareness, because that is something that helped me, and that is something I would love to share it with the world, to take the body very very seriously. And also, for me, cancer has been just a small part, and mental health and well-being was such a major thing. So somebody asks me, you were very happy, was it just a pretentious thing for social media? I was like, no, I genuinely felt it was some delusional optimism that I was feeling during that time. But what was a bigger battle for me to fight was depression, was anxiety attacks. It it's not normal to cry 5 to 6 hours every night and make it a part of your routine and lead a dual life. That was more consuming for me. And so everybody has their own battles there, and everybody has their own way of dealing with it. So my book was predominantly about experiencing a whole lot of uh, these things, but in sports. So yeah.
Okay, I'm going to leave you both with just one little thing, and I want you both to think very carefully about this. Everybody's said really nice things about both your books. I know that Tahira's wall is full of nice things that famous people are saying about the book. Shaheen, of course, has got her own set of people who have said very nice things about the book online. Tahira, what's the thing that cut the most that somebody said about the book, and what's the funniest thing that somebody said about the book?
Oh, I think the funniest thing would be the quote by Shah Rukh sir, which is there. He was I'll give a little bit of a background to Shaheen. So, Chandigarh, we have very few make-out spots. Like, we don't have a reclamation road or something. And, the little time that we have, we actually get to be act. So even if it's like, which is why my relationship with my husband has lasted for so long, because at that point of time, we didn't have any conversations. It's like 15 minutes, hai, let's get at it. So the conversations are happening now. So, so we used to make use of, that was the time of single screens. And so I had a screen, a single theater opposite my college, and we watched Ashoka 13 times. So the first time we watched Ashoka was, of course, because we both are SRK fans and we loved the film. But the next 12 times, we were studying chemistry notes. So, so yeah.
Now you should probably tell her what SRK wrote about the book.
Oh yeah. So I don't exactly. So he says that. I'm not sure if I should be happy or offended that Tyra and her View's favorite makeout spot was in the cinema watching my movies, which kind of explains the strange smiles both of them have on their faces whenever they meet me. This one of many such gems make you laugh as much as I did. So yeah, so I didn't know that he had noticed us, but both of us, we have this weird smile whenever we meet him.
Oh,
So
that's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah,
For the-
now you've scarred that memory for life for him, though. He can't ever look at you without thinking about that.
but
No, but Shaheen,
yeah,
Shaheen,
sorry.
Shaheen, what's the funniest or the most cutting thing that somebody's ever said about the book after reading it?
Cutting like bad?
Yeah, well, unless you're cutting good is good.
No, I mean, I don't know, like sharp cutting, like something. No, I mean, I strangely, I guess because of the subject matter, nobody said anything particularly funny about it. But I
Okay,
think like
heartwarming.
maybe,
Let's go with heartwarming.
I mean, every time I see anyone, like, and that's most of the things that people have said is, oh, it helped me understand myself a little better, and or like it because it felt like it felt like someone was writing about my journey. So it again, it just made me realize that, hey, okay, this is where literally we all think that our fears and our insecurities are completely different from everyone else's, but at the end of the day, we all have the same fears. We kind of all live through the same pains. So every time I read anyone saying something like that, it makes me feel really like warm and fuzzy.
No, but seriously, how did the, and of course I know did I bring this up because I think that every time somebody has a conversation with these two, they have to bring up last names. I just didn't want to, so I didn't. But how did the family react to it? Shahid?
So I didn't show. I mean, I didn't give my family the book to read until it was completely done.
Did you
Um,
blindside them with that? Really? Are you serious?
yeah, so I didn't give them any I didn't give them any manuscript version of it. I didn't give them any little bits and pieces to read. I was like, here's the book. So I mean, literally, my sister, when I handed her the book for the first time, she just started weeping because she's just holding the book and crying because I think for her it was just like I guess she's seen me through a lot of
Realization.
yeah, and she and just I mean, I guess just that I'd converted it into that, I think for her was quite great. And I mean, my family, to be very honest, like I said, it's even though it's not something I hid, it's always been a very hard thing to talk about. Even if you don't hide the fact that you have depression, you don't really talk about the ins and outs of it to people on a day-to-day basis, even if it's close people, because it's hard. It's really hard. Even if you're practiced, I'm well practiced at it now, but it's still hard. So for them, it was just like when they read it, it's like, oh wow, I feel like I finally understand what was happening behind closed doors, on those days that you weren't coming out of the room. So I think they were really happy that I was able to sort of convert it into, because the way I look at it is that I've taken the worst thing in my life and I've converted it into what is now one of the best parts of my life. I've converted it into something. So I think they were quite happy about that. And yeah, they were very supportive.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's
Yeah.
incredibly cool. Tahira, I feel like we're doing too many spoilers here. But what did Boy say about book? No, actually, we know what Boy said. I read it somewhere online. But what did the rest of the family say?
I've been giving palpitations to my family, yeah. So now they don't let me enter the living room and they don't have a very candid conversation because it becomes material for me. So as much as people have liked the book, I'm living with the people that I've written about in the book. So from my Chotu Masi and her funny takes on life to my in-laws to yeah. So they all are there in my life. So it's not a very comfortable situation to be in. So
And this is why you should have given them an advance copy, and I don't know, sent them Diwali gifts a little early.
no, no. In fact, I took away the copy that I gave to my in-laws. Very, very honestly speaking. So my in-laws were like, "Puri dunya ne पढ़ लिया, हमें भी दो." तो I was like, "Oh God." So, Shaheen, just to give you a heads up, I have written a whole lot of embarrassing things about what my mother-in-law gifted me before my wedding. I have to read that. To know what
Oh
she
man, I really can't
You
wait to
know,
read your book now.
she's probably going like, "Oh my God, what's in part two?"
no. So yeah, man. So it's so yeah. So the copy that I had given to them, I gave बहुत ही बाद में जाके, I think after 2 weeks of it being published. And so my mom-in-law was like, "Oh, the first chapter is really nice and funny." And the moment she was going to go to the third chapter, I just gestured my sister and I was like, "Just take the book. Just tell her you need to read the book." And so she's taken the book from them. So I don't
You
know
should
if
have
they
red
have.
flagged like portions that you didn't want her to read. Like tab, 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 read, read, read. Do not read. Do not read. Do not read. Anyway, thank you guys. Thank you so much for this conversation. It's been lots of fun, and I think it's been very insightful. I do hope a lot of people read this book. I hope that there's so many fun experiences. There's so much of life. There's so much of you guys in it that I don't think anybody should miss out on reading that. Thank you so much for being with us. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank
I'm
Thank
so
you,
you.
excited
Tahira.
for Shaheen's book right now.
No,
Absolutely.
same. I'm reading your book immediately. I'm too excited now.
Thank you, Daniel, for doing this and
Thank
introducing
you.
us to each
Thank
other.
you so much, you guys. Take care of yourself. Stay safe.
See
Thanks
you
so
guys.
much.
Thank you.
Bye, Shahid. Bye, Tahira.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us this evening. We hope you enjoyed the session. To catch your favorite authors live and check out the full schedule, you can log on to